morning, everybody. Welcome to Pumps and Politics. We have a very special show in store. Today is April 21st. We're nearing the end of this month, and it's been a very full month. So much has been going on, but I'm very excited about not only this month, but this show and what's to come forward. But as you all know, I have to do my special introduction of my lovely co-host, Ms. Lainey Brown and Janine Davis.
Good morning. Happy Easter Monday.
Well, we know it's definitely a happy Easter for you, Janine, because, somebody wasn't here, over the weekend. She had a special Easter treat.
Right.
We weren't invited. I'm getting over it. Not just yet, but I'm getting over it.
Y'all were there in spirit. I brought Nashville to Dallas with me and had a wonderful Easter at the Potter's House.
But you didn't bring any Easter candy.
Right.
I brought Easter pictures.
Oh, I can't eat those. Where are the peeps?
I know the peeps. I hate those. They're cute.
They're cute.
Peeps.
I'm with you. They're cute, but I won't eat them.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
they.
chocolate bunnies and
I feel like
jelly beans
peeps will live on forever and ever. No.
But you have to tell everybody it's not like you just went away for Easter. You went someplace very special.
I did.
With a special invite of
I
someone.
did. I'm working with Bishop T.D. Jakes on his new book, Instinct. And so I had an invite to come out to the Potter's House over the weekend and go to their church service as well as a brunch afterwards. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Church service was wonderfully packed, and you get to see everybody in their fancy Easter Sunday best. And he was, inspiring. The whole production was wonderful. And then the brunch afterwards was wonderful. And the best part was my daughter lives in Denton, Texas right now with FEMA.
Oh, that's right.
And so I was able to take her with me. So we had a really,
nice
really
little
good time.
Easter treat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what was it like being the special guest of TD Jakes?
Well, the church is huge. And so, when you come in and you give your name to guest services, they were like, well, we have a special seating area, which was nice because you didn't have to fight for seats or anything. And so it was just nice. There was a bunch of people there. Some people behind me were from Habitat for Humanity. It was just all different types of organizations that he works with in the Dallas area, charitable organizations. So it wasn't, like everybody would think, all these big stars are going to be in this roped off area. No,
right.
These were the people that he works with directly to help make Dallas and the world a better place.
Well, excuse me. Now tell us about the brunch. Where was it? Was it like a big corporate type brunch, or was it just with he and his family?
It was, I would say there was probably between 150 and 200 people. It was at the Four Seasons in Dallas, and they have a nice little cabana area. But it was definitely family, friends, ministers from the church, and everybody could bring their family. And they had face painters for the kids. They gave out Easter baskets. So there were kids there, and there was music, and it was a buffet. So it was real family friendly and, just wonderful. I think it was, kind of like a celebration for all the people that work so tirelessly to help his ministry. It was kind of, take a day off and come out and celebrate and fellowship with, bring your families and have really just a nice time.
Okay. Well, nice. Well, we had a great Easter, too. I love Easter. Easter and Christmas, I would have to say, are my favorite holidays. Yeah, I love Easter. How was your Easter, Janine?
It was good. Did a lot of family stuff. We took family pictures on Saturday.
Yes, I think Easter is official. Easter and Christmas are official for family portraits
those
and
are the
pictures.
Official family. So it was quite interesting because, of course, I post on Facebook about my dad. He's
the best. I love Janine.
I
love
father
Facebook
stories
dad ever, but he hates that he's on Facebook. And some kind of way, he always finds out he ends up on Facebook. So I get that whole, just like Sunday for dinner. So what picture is this you have on me on Facebook? And so, of course, I'm like, ooh, with a mouthful of food. But yeah, so we got him, my mom, got him out taking the family photo, and she attends Metropolitan. So they do that every year, is do a family photo. So we all were there, and he had on his new little suit. Thank you, Easter Bunny.
I love Easter.
It
is. And it was not only an eventful weekend for Easter, but also, as we've been talking about, y'all, we're in the throes. Election time is here.
Yes, it is.
Early voting
voting
started last, was it Wednesday?
The
Tuesday?
16th.
It started Wednesday,
16th.
yes.
Whenever the 16th was,
Which was
because now
Wednesday.
all my days are blended together.
I know.
And we talked a little bit, Janine, about coming out last Wednesday. Well, it was Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Yeah,
yes.
last Wednesday, the 100 Black women hosted the Women Who Vote. Was it Women Who Vote? Women Vote Early.
Right, women vote early. I
Yes,
think
there we go. And we had a lot of fun. It's always a pleasure to see, everyone coming out and wanting their voice to be heard. And we've, again, talked many times before just about the importance of making sure your voice is heard. And that, when it comes down to it, when things happen later on, you can't really complain because... you had a chance for your voice to be heard, and that chance is at the polls. And
we have such a wonderful opportunity. The fact that we can vote early is such a blessing. There's many, many counties or states that don't allow early voting. And I know for someone like me who's on the road, I will be on the road during the actual on election day. This gives me an opportunity to still get my voice heard.
Exactly. So we want to encourage everyone to be sure to get out and cast their votes. And we're going to pull up that information here in a little bit because early voting ends May 1st. You can go to the Howard School building, but beginning April 28th, they're going to open up some remote sites at various libraries. And there's one other location, I believe a community center. We're going to have that information for you here in just a little bit. But bottom line, everybody, please get out and vote. And we've talked with a lot of candidates here about their platform, why they believe that they are the best one for the job. And we've heard a lot of interesting things, and I can say just how valuable it is to know who it is that's running for office. And I couldn't imagine going to the polls, ladies, and not having had this close interaction with the candidates. We have our series Meet the Candidates for a reason. Because you need to know who it is that you're voting for.
And there's so many people that are running. And it's been very informative, and it's been it's definitely been a learning experience. For me, I've met so many things and heard so many different issues and seen so many different personalities. And you have to think, the judicial system, they make decisions about a lot of friends, family, neighbors, people that you know. And so it's nice to know that you have an input about who's doing this, because you never know. Bad things happen to good people. Good things happen to bad people. You just never know.
Never know. Well, speaking of never know, there are a lot of big headlines out right now. One of those coming out of South Korea.
This is so tragic.
It's heartbreaker, where the ferry has gone under. And I was watching a video earlier, and body after body, they're pulling out from the water, sending the boat out to recover more bodies, bringing them in, and they have a roped off area where parents, because there are a number of kids who were on that ferry. I believe a little over 100 or so.
No, 240, I think, students were on the ship.
Yeah.
Or the ferry, which was, it's huge. I think a lot of people think when they think of ferries, a small little boat, but this was over 400 people were on this boat. And so, and
a little over half children.
It's really, it's so tragic. And, some of the things that I've been reading about is that, South Korea has a high rate of suicide. They're one of the highest rates of suicide. One of the other things that they're very concerned about is they also have a very low birth rate. So most families either have one, possibly two children. So this is their legacy. They spend more money on their child's education than anything. And for, a lot of these families, that's it. These are high school students. So you have to think these are older parents. So it's not, they're not going to go back and maybe have more kids, and you can't replace those, that are gone. So,
it's heartbreaking.
The vice principal,
faces coming.
Right?
Yes, the vice principal.
He committed suicide because he said he planned this trip and he could not fathom the pressure of
their lives
being lost. Right. And so, that's heartbreaking. This is going to be a really, really tough time. We all just need to send up a prayer for all of those families. And, just keep praying for South Korea.
And the captain and some other crew members in that case are facing charges.
Oh, yeah, they've been arrested.
Right. And supposedly the captain delayed the evacuation.
By half an hour. Told them just to sit there.
And there was time. Many lives could have been saved. But by the time they decided to evacuate everybody, they couldn't get access to the...
he got off the ship. That was crazy. They showed him off the ship in a blanket. It kind of reminds me of when that cruise ship in Greece went aground and ran aground. And I think maybe it was like 4 or 5 people that died in that particular accident. But the captain, he was one of the first people off the ship. And I always grew up thinking the captain goes down with the ship. He's supposed to be the last person off the ship. Everybody else is supposed, that's supposed to be his maritime duty, is to get everybody off the boat.
crazy. And then another story. This one just baffles me. A 16-year-old stowaway survived a flight in a wheel well. They're saying that he jumped the fence at a San Jose airport and rode the plane for 5.5 hours to Maui.
Mm-hmm. They said
How in the world?
Temperatures negative 50 degrees.
Yes.
Wow.
And they said because of the low temperatures, but the heat from, I believe, the wheels or the engine or something like that, he was able to, the low temperatures, I believe they said, were able to put him to sleep, and the high temperatures were able to preserve his nervous system.
Yeah, they said something, it's almost like a hibernation, like his body went into a hibernation.
So then the plane lands, and an hour later, he wakes up, and, he's just fine.
Right.
He's like, aloha.
But this is the first time that they've had someone to stow away in a plane. This is becoming a little unusual
and scary.
Kids are able to even do this. Like,
yeah,
you
was
don't
running
know where
away.
your 16-year-old is. Check the airport.
Yeah, he's supposed to have got into it with his family and ran away.
Because, this isn't the first time. I know there was another story where we had another stowaway child on a plane as well.
But they actually got on the plane.
They
were on the
did.
plane. This one was in the wheel well. And they said that really and truly, this is like only the second time a person has survived being in the wheel well. Mm-hmm. Normally, because of the temperatures and the lack of oxygen, normally they perish before they get to where they're going.
And see, my thing is not, okay, we can talk about, these people surviving and like, oh my God, like I just can't even see how. But to me, this brings up some serious security issues.
Yeah. A 16-year-old can jump a fence?
Right.
Well, who else can jump a fence? It's funny that you said that, because when I was coming home yesterday and I was walking through Nashville Airport, and I was walking to my car, and I was like, really and truly, anybody could be in this airport and do anything. You just kind of, there was no security guard. I was in short-term parking, and I'm just kind of looking around, and I'm sure they have cameras, but who's watching the cameras? And are they really watching the cameras? So, yeah, definitely.
Apparently
security.
not. And see, that scares me because, first of all, anybody can jump, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then somebody may not want to stay in the plane. They may want to drop something off, if you catch what I'm saying, and leave. That's very scary to me. And it's like, we can keep coming up with safeguards and safeguards and safeguards, but I mean, people are always going to find a way around something. It's scary.
They never knew that someone would plant a bomb in their underwear or plant a bomb in their shoe. Right. So it's like you never know until something actually happens. So, yeah, definitely scary. I mean, even this morning when I was driving to work, I kind of live by the airport, and there's that overpass on Murfreesboro Road where, like, the planes drive over when they land. Mm-hmm. And someone had left a motorcycle with a cooler on the back of it, like a scooter. I don't know if it ran out of gas, but that could have been anything in there. And they could have just left it there and got up and... Where's the security?
Well, a lot of questions to be answered, that's for sure. But one thing... that we know for sure as well. We have a special guest in the studio today, but this area will have two very special guests on Wednesday. First Lady Michelle Obama and Vice President's wife, Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, will be in the Fort Campbell area this Wednesday talking with some of the soldiers and their families about jobs and discussing an upcoming career fair. And that's pretty significant. And we've had the president to visit Fort Campbell before, and we have a lot of soldiers who are very play critical roles in the security of our nation, as every post. But if anyone remembers when oh goodness, his name just left me. Bin Laden, forgive me. When Bin Laden was taken down, there was a unit from Fort Campbell that participated in that. So we have some pretty tough guys and gals down here. But the ladies will be in town this week talking.
That has been they've been really active with military and military families. That's been their platform. And I think that, it helps morale, to let people know that they are thinking about them and they're not, forgotten, and they're not just one of the millions of people that do help to serve our country. So it's nice when they can actually put, for lack of a better term, boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just as a reminder, of course, we know that Vice President Joe Biden and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, have a son who's in the military. Right, so that comes very close to their hearts anyway. And then they're public servants, so we all serve our country in some form or fashion. So safe travels to the ladies as they come this way on Wednesday. And we say welcome to you to the Nashville Tennessee
area,
slash
Kentucky.
Fort Campbell, Kentucky area.
area.
Welcome down south. We're happy to have you
Right.
all and hope that it is an eventful trip for you all. And we're going to take a break here. Coming up after the break, as we talk about presidents and their families and political royalty, if you will, you all, we have a very, very special guest in the house with us today. We have the granddaughter of Nelson Mandela, president of Africa. She will be in the studio with us today, just after the break. So we're going to have a lot of questions for her, and we've got to baptize into our Pumps and Politics way. So we will be here. Stay tuned. Be right back.
All in together now. We can make it better now. Come on, can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. We'll rope it up, cause we know how to jump. We'll roll it out, cause we know how to skate. We'll cut it down, cause we know what to eat. We'll swap it out, we eat healthy stuff. Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. Yeah, well come on.
Today's a good day to grab your kids and hang out with them for an hour. Dance, walk, play a sport, or cook a healthy meal. Because just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier.
Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. We'll ball it up, cause we know how to hoop. We'll mess around, cause we know how to play. We'll drop it down, cause we know how to dance. We'll veg it up, every night and day. Can we do it?
Search We Can online to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day to keep you and your kids healthy. Remember, that's We Can. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
I'm so glad we left that stupid party.
No joke.
Hey, baby, are you an overdue library book? Because you got fine written all over you.
Ugh,
barf.
What about that girl with the hoop earrings?
Ridiculous. When she was dancing...
Megan, look out! Look out!
Oh my god, Becky. Becky, are you okay?
My arm. I think it's broken.
Can you bend it?
It's already bent. In the wrong direction.
I can't believe this. I'm so sorry. I only had a few drinks. I was just buzzed.
Really? Just buzzed?
Yeah, I swear.
Well, in that case, my arm is fine. Ah, that's better.
You're really okay? You're serious, Becky?
No, genius. I'm not serious.
Ow! My arm, it hurts.
Buzzed driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Ad Council, and this station.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
And welcome back to Pumps and Politics. We talked some headlines in the first segment here of the show, but as I mentioned, we always try to bring something special to you. We always try to give you a nice little treat because we come to you on Monday mornings and, I always want to have a little something special. Well, we have a very special guest with us this morning. As we mentioned a little bit ago, we have the granddaughter of Nelson Mandela, the first inaugurated president in a democratically elected president in South Africa. We have with us this morning his granddaughter, and I hope that I'm getting the name pronounced correct, Daleka.
Perfect.
Daleka Mandela. All right, so kudos to me so far. Good morning to you and welcome to Pumps and Politics.
Good morning to you and good morning to the listeners.
Yes. Well, this is a first for us,
This
you all.
is
Like we
awesome.
have president's family.
Royalty.
And,
Right.
yes, I'm
Such an honor. Such an honor.
do feel honored. I need to. Yes, all right. And you were saying this is your first time in Nashville, right?
Yes, it is. Definitely it is my first time. Yeah, I've been to New York and Miami, but South is the first time.
The South is very special. Now we're very different from New York, and it's not quite the same as Miami. But our weather is a little crazy. And we were just saying before the break, you came at a good time.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, the weather's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hospitality is definitely different, though. So Southern hospitality is a good thing.
Yes.
Well, it's more like where I come from, in where Granddad grew up in Qunu in the Eastern Cape. It's, I was looking out from where I'm staying, and it's so serene and peaceful, and it reminds me of my grandfather's birthplace.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
And you can just take a nice deep breath and just say, whew, because in New York, it's
Yes.
go, go, go,
Yeah,
go, go.
yeah,
And
yeah,
there's
yeah.
noise.
Yeah,
I'm from New York, so I
yeah.
understand. There's
The
a noise,
hustle and
constant.
bustle, yeah.
Right. Naturally, you can kind of take a deep breath in and say, okay, let me
Yes,
regroup. Let me
yes,
center
yeah.
myself and keep it moving.
And I have to ask, now you are one of 17 grandchildren
Okay.
and 15 great-grandchildren. Is that correct?
That's correct. To put it into perspective, I am the grandchild. I'm
Yeah,
the
because you're the first, right?
of the first of the first.
First, right?
The first grandchild
First of
from
the
the
first.
first child from the first wife. So
So you are
they
the
don't.
one.
Yeah, I'm the ultimate grandchild.
It doesn't get
So
any better.
it started with you.
Yes.
So you
It
set the
all
tone
started
for-
with me.
Yes.
When he realized that he's a grandfather, it was moi.
Yes.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Now that comes with a lot of responsibility. First of all, your name alone carries a lot of history, a lot of weight, a lot of responsibility, and then you're the first grandchild. How has that been for you, carrying that responsibility? And then when you hear the name Mandela, oh my goodness, like that says a lot in itself.
It has, and it's only now as an adult and with my own children that I've realized the responsibility it carries. I mean, when Granddad was alive, I was like the communicator. I was the one that was arranging the trips to the Eastern Cape and coordinating everything. And because I'm closer to age with my aunts, I'm sort of a in-between, a bridge between the one generation above me and the next generation. And I relate well to both of them because I'm almost 50. I'm turning 50 next year, so I'm
Well,
almost
50
there.
looks good on you. I want whatever water you're drinking, whatever diet you were on.
I think we need to get to Pumps and Politics
Hello?
in South Africa. I think that's our next trip.
We're going to start broadcasting from there because it does well for the body.
Absolutely.
So that has come with that type of responsibility, but it's a responsibility that I've actually embraced, and also to carry on with my grandfather's legacy. And it is at times daunting,
I'm sure. it can.
and with the responsibility, people tend to, when they hear the name Mandela, and they tend to put you on a pedestal and forgetting that you are here on this earth for your own journey. Granddad had his own journey, and I will have my own journey, and I will emulate some of the things that he did, and also spending most time with him, especially the last 3 years next to his bedside. It taught me a lot of the lessons that I can take and some of the lessons that I would not want to take forward. So it really has taught me a lot.
In the last 3 years, or even during your life, can you talk about something that maybe he said to you that sticks, in the morning you say, you know what, this is the legacy, this is what I remember, this is essential.
For me, it is the fact that he has always told me that in life you must strive to live better for a better cause and not just for you. And he was a perfect example of that. Yes, he's made mistakes along the way, but Granddad lived, he was truly the servant of the people. I was telling the people that welcomed me last night that did not come from the sky. It was informed by traditions and culture. He grew up in a royal household in Kregezweni, and he used to watch tribal council, and chiefs in those days were the truly servants of the people. And that's where he learned to be the servant of the people. And that is what I take from him, that to do better for people, and his simplicity and humility.
How do we get this generation to embrace that and go back and start living that truth?
Yeah.
You know, I think we need to shy away from the pop culture, you know, and everything about the generation of, including my children, is about fast. It's now. It's instant gratification. And we need to work hard. I mean, people of Granddad's generation, they worked so hard to achieve, and they made so many sacrifices. Children nowadays just don't want to make sacrifices. They want, you know, it's Instagram, it's your
Facebook,
it's
immediate
Twitter,
postings.
it's always something has got to be immediate.
I call it the microwave generation.
I mean, honestly, it is something that we need to go back to basics.
Back to the basics.
We need to go back to basics. I mean, as African people, we are so diverse, but it is our diversity that we need to celebrate, and the similarities in our cultures. Because if you look at all African cultures, African American and people of African origin, our cultures are the same, are fundamentally the same. And that's what we need. We need to go back to those basics of what formed us as a people, because who we are today is who we were.
Yeah, I think
then.
Absolutely right. I mean, from slavery, work hard, you know, through
picking
integration,
cotton,
picking cotton. It was all hard work, and now everything
supposed to come easy. They feel entitled, like they deserve it, or we owe it to them. You know, and you touched on something very important, and I've wanted to have I've had this conversation a few times with some of my friends from Liberia and from Ghana. There is, while our origins are the same, Africa, there is some difference. There is a divide culturally between the African community and African American community. What have you seen, and what are your thoughts about some of the differences that you've noticed?
I wouldn't call it differences. I would call it diversity.
Okay.
Because fundamentally, those are the same, because African Americans, their origins stem from Africa. So perhaps along the way, there was a disconnect somewhere, and that we need to connect with that disconnect. And fundamentally, like I say, it is the same thing. I mean, African Americans, they like going to church. There's certain things that actually there's a thread that runs through, and we need to go find the thread and connect the dots and become one people. I mean, what I've observed with the Americans that I've been in contact with, it is like we had talking earlier on the instant gratification and you know, of learning more than just your country and knowing about how other people live, also how other Africans live. Like you say that you're friends with people from Liberia and in Ghana. And those countries are steeped in the traditions. And as Africans, we need to join hands. That is what PANAFEST is about, to celebrate the cultural diversity and actually form a cohesive structure as Africans.
Well, and you mentioned PANAFEST, and we got all excited. You know, we have Ms. Mandela in the house, and we're like, totally forgot about what you're even here for in this first place.
But it's good. We can talk about it all in the next segment about PANAFEST.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. I promise you, we're going to spend time there. I don't want Malika, she's here. She's representing Hoshana Management, correct? And she has been she is doing her job. She has been honest, making sure that we promote and that it's everywhere and that we make all the points connect, or connect with the disconnects there, making sure everything's together. So after the break, we will be discussing PANAFEST, what that's all about, and what you will be doing as part of that event. So everyone, please stay tuned. We have Dalika Mandela in the house with us, granddaughter of Nelson Mandela, South Africa's president. We will be right back, everybody. Stay tuned.
Together now, we can make it better now. Come on, can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. We'll rope it up, cause we know how to jump. We'll roll it out, cause we know how to skate. We'll cut it down, cause we know what to eat. We'll swap it out, we eat healthy stuff. Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can.
Today's a good day to grab your kids and hang out with them for an hour. Dance, walk, play a sport, or cook a healthy meal. Because just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
We'll ball it up.
Cause we know how to hoop.
We'll mess around.
Cause we know how to play.
We'll drop it down.
Cause we know how to dance.
We'll veg it up.
Veggie night and day.
Can we do it?
Search We Can online to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day to keep you and your kids healthy. Remember, that's We Can. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
For real news, big headlines, and the latest in political talk, tune in every Monday for Pumps and Politics at 8 a.m. Central. And welcome back to Pumps and Politics with our special guest in the house, Miss Dalika Mandela. We just jumped right in and started talking and having fun. And
yeah, because she's not here in Nashville just to party and just to have some biscuits and sweet tea.
And to take in the serenity of our city.
Right.
But
she's actually here for a cause.
Yes, for
business.
PanaFest. So talk to us a little bit about PanaFest and what you all are hoping people will get out of this cultural experience. Because not everyone is attending, not everyone knows, but we want to make sure everyone not only knows what PanaFest is about, but comes out to support.
Okay, I mean, PanaFest is more for it is entertainment that's built around our cultural diversity, and also celebrating the African diaspora. And it's a 3-day affair, if I'm not mistaken. 2 days. 3 days, 3-day affair. And there is, I mean, Dr. C, when we call it Dr. C, I call it Auntie Arikana. It is actually, for me, what's important with the PanaFest is actually building a case of the leadership qualities that my grandfather had and fusing them with what PanaFest wants to achieve. Social cohesion and all the social, building health, and also facilitating conflict resolution, because that was one of the pillars of Granddad. South Africa is one country, unlike other countries, African countries, that was not plunged into a civil war when the new dispensation took place, and it was purely because of the leaders of his time that it was not plunged into a civil war, because Granddad chose to forgive his detractors. Even when we're on a brink, we're on a precipice of a civil war, when there were massacres in places like Buipatong, where children were hacked to death, and they suspended the talks at that time. But even then, he called on for people not to take up arms, and to say that through peaceful negotiations we can achieve a resolution, a peaceful resolution. And that is what we need to do in the African diaspora, that we do not take arms to actually achieve what we want to do. It can be done peacefully. I was also saying last night, it takes a lot out of a person to actually hate, because with hate, you need to feed hate every day.
It's a lot of energy.
It's a lot of energy. It takes out a lot out of you to keep it alive, because as human beings, God created us to forgive. And to not forgive is to actually feed that hate on a daily basis and keep on playing what made you hate a person.
Yeah,
So it is much easier to forgive than to hate.
Right.
I don't think that he would have lived as long with
No,
that
he wouldn't
hate,
have. Yeah, yeah.
because hate is
It makes you
physically.
sick.
It does.
It chips at your soul every day. It takes pieces of you. So Panafest is that's what Panafest is trying is wants to achieve, to actually create this cohesion within Africans in the African diaspora, including African Americans, because your origins are from Africa. You may be living in America, but your origins are from Africa.
Now, what are they doing in Africa? Now, we have the Panafest here, but what are they doing in Africa to create the unity as well? Because there is a lot of...
There is a lot of disconnect, and I think that, Panafest is also going to help in Africa, and also, the African Union is doing its bit, but there's more that can be done. And I believe that through social entrepreneurship, like, non-governmental organization, we can actually do our bit. Most of the time, it's nice to be armchair critics criticizing government. They're not doing this, they're not doing that. But what are you doing?
Right.
Do your bit.
How many years has Panafest been going
This
on?
is the second year.
The second
Yeah,
year.
this is just, and I mean, they've taken this stride in just the 2 years. This they're going to be saying, this is the second Panafest.
And so Auntie Arakana, as you call her, who also is a Fisk alum, so I met Dr. Shimbori, and she is a very, very phenomenal woman. She's going to be, I guess, crowned in a ceremonial queen process. Tell us a little bit about that.
For me, that actually is quite important. The fact that we're talking earlier on about how she lives where I'm staying right now, and how significant that piece of land is, her home is, because it was a slave plantation. And for me, that place, she did not stumble into that by default. That place chose her mainly because she is the one person that will actually pull it together and pull people from different aspects, ambassadorial people, business people, people from the NGO space, pull all of this together and make sure that as Africa, we move forward, and people of African origin will also move forward.
How do people purchase tickets? You're speaking on Saturday, so do you have information on how people can obtain
Yeah, they
tickets?
go to the Panafest website,
Okay.
and they can purchase tickets from the Panafest website.
And we'll have links to the website on our Facebook
and
and Twitter.
Yes.
Panafest.net
Yeah.
is where you can go for some more information. I have some information that Malika did send me. My computer's moving a little slow to download that, so we're going to have that information. A lot of the specifics in terms of some scheduling and ticket prices, we're going to have that for y'all in just a little bit as we run through. And while that's downloading, I want to ask you, how does it feel to be invited down to something like this? You speak so much about your grandfather's legacy and your own work as you speak to your own journey, but now you're a part of a continuation of something your grandfather started many years ago. This is just another additive. How does it feel to be a part of this at this time and in this place?
Well, it is befitting, because I feel that, I have been getting prepared for the work that I have to do going forward. And for me, the lessons that come from Granddad are actually what I will emulate through my organization. It's just the beginning, because the organization, the Thembekile Mandela Foundation, has 3 pillars. It is education, health, and youth development. And I think that we were talking earlier on, what do we need to do for our youth actually? It is that development of youth starts from education, and we need to start teaching to change the narrative for our children. And then we'll build a new, a generation that is actually knows about where they come from. We're not trying to say, okay, we have a history of slavery or of apartheid in South Africa, but it is important for children to know where they come from, because it informs where they are going. They must never ever forget the sacrifices that African Americans actually paid. They paid with their lives. They paid with their blood. They sweated and toiled the land, much the same as South Africans. Our country is soaked with the blood of heroes that had fallen, and that history must never be forgotten. But it must take us as a country forward.
I think one of the things, we were talking about how we need to connect Africans to African Americans. And I think one of the things that, we've lacked in America is having a true knowledge of what actually goes on in Africa. Because there's so many people who think that Africa is animals, huts, and safaris.
Right.
And it's so much more. There's so much industry, there's banking, there's oil, there's diamonds, there's all types of things. That it's a very rich country. But we've been fed so many half-truths as well as, lies, because when you don't know yourself, it helps to keep you down. And so I think that it's very important. I think then Panifest is something that everybody needs to go to, because it helps you to become more invested in your ancestors and your ancestry.
Yeah, that's very funny. I mean, funny you should say that we're talking earlier with Kwame, saying that it is so amazing that to this day, when you speak to the average African American, they still think that I always say, they still think that we swing from tree to tree like Tarzan. No.
Right.
It is not true. Like you say, it is a country, it's actually the richest continent if you think of natural resources in the whole world.
Yes.
It is the one country that has oil, gas, minerals, you name it. Some of these minerals in some countries like DRC, they are alluvial. You don't even have to go underground to get them. They're just on the topsoil. That's how rich Africa is. But because it has not been managed properly, that's where we need management systems to actually get Africa to where it's supposed to be. Right. Agriculture, the whole world, when I went to the Clinton Global Initiative in 2012, what they were talking about was agriculture. And where are they looking? To Africa.
To Africa.
Right.
Yes.
So how...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, how can then Black Africans support South Africans in that effort of helping to get the word out about the resources and the richness of the continent, as well as just supporting, a lot of Black Africans were a part of the apartheid support. So how can we, again, continue to do that and build that bridge?
We need more platforms like Panifest. We need to have a Panifest every day of our lives, to actually teach people of what can be done for Africa. It is not an event I feel that should happen once in a year. It is something we need to change the narrative on a daily basis and talk about how African Americans and Africans can form a cohesive force of how to actually bring this thing, people to know about it. Because Google we need to have our own Google.
Google Africa.
Yes, Google Africa. We have to have our own Google to actually learn about Africa.
Absolutely.
Well, there is an emoticon app that came from someone in Africa who did Black faces. So it's and emoticons, I hope I'm saying that correctly, it's the little smiley faces. And so we know that they're all yellow faces, but there is a new app, and I'll do a quick research when we go to break to find out. And it came from an engineer in Africa who created this app to start having more faces that look like us.
One of the other things I did, and I need to correct myself because I believe I said the country of Africa, and I meant to say the continent of Africa, because that is something that we're not taught, and it's not enforced. That people think that Africa is a country, but it's not. It's a continent made up of several different countries. And I think that everybody thinks that it's, and like we were talking about before, the diversity. You've got Egypt to South Africa. You've got Conakry. So Nigeria. You've got all these different places made up of different people, different nationalities, different languages.
What is the misconception that bothers you the most about Africa?
It is the misconception that we are a country of corrupt leaders.
Oh.
It is something, yes, corrupt leaders are everywhere. It's not just in Africa.
Oh, we know. We definitely know about
that. For me, I fail to see why Africa stands out when there's actually been good leaders. We have Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. We have Julius Nyerere of Tanzania. We have Patrice Lumumba of DRC. We have my grandfather. They are iconic leaders that actually change the history. And these are the people that we are way ahead of their times, and yet they're not talked about. Why? Because the people, the forces, the powers that be have a certain agenda. But we as Africans, we need to have our own agenda. What is our agenda? We need to promote our leaders that actually have contributed to the change of our history. leaders that were ahead of this time, leaders that are paid with their lives. We need to change that narrative.
And it's
up
easier
to us.
to
up
keep
us.
people down
Yes.
when you promote negativity.
Right.
And so you have, and that helps to instill that divide. So, you have the people, the Africans here or African Americans here who say, oh, well, I'm not going there. It's corrupt. And so you have that, the ignorance.
Right.
Rather than, like you said, we need the Google so that we can actually go on and say, hey.
Google Africa.
Yeah, Google Africa.
Y'all can borrow that
what
Google.
what did Kwame Nkrumah do? Boom.
Right.
This is what he did. He changed the face. What did Patrice Lumumba do? I mean, I've always said this thing, and people say they know, but bad publicity sells. Who the hell says that? Who the hell decided that bad publicity sells? Why can't good stories sell?
Very good
Why are
question.
people so much attracted to negativity, which actually doesn't build them?
No, it tears them
Who
down and makes them
decided
sick.
that actually we're going to be promoting, all we know that about Africa is babies with soul and bellies that are thin from the South Sudan or wherever. And who the hell decided that? Why can't we change that story?
And, and then this is
Y'all
what we
heard
need
it
to
from
do.
her. She has spoken, and for anybody listening, that's probably, yes, Miss Mandela did just say a curse word, but that's okay. She is Miss Mandela. She can do that on this radio station, and because we are online, we can get away with that. And I said so, and that's all right. And everyone, stay tuned. We're going to come back right after the break. Our final segment, I'm so sad for this show to wrap. I've had a lot of fun, and I feel so much smarter after this interview.
I feel like I want to
feel
start talking
inspired.
intelligently and just saying really good things to
like
people.
I need to go start something, like inspire the world. But everyone stay tuned. We hope that you too are being just as inspired, motivated, and informed as we are. Stay tuned. We will be right back talking with Miss Mandela. For real news, big headlines, and the latest in political talk, tune in every Monday for Pumps and Politics at 8 a.m. Central.
Just now, another kid dropped out of school. There's one every 20 seconds. Over 200 kids an hour. That adds up to nearly 5,000 kids every school day.
If we do nothing, 3.5 million kids won't receive a diploma over the next 4 years. But there is someone who can change that. And that someone is you. United Way knows that kids who have a caring adult in their life are more likely to make it. So make a pledge. Tutor a child who needs help. Mentor a kid who needs someone on their side. Volunteer to read to children. Because the path to success or failure starts long before graduation day. And the difference between a graduate and a dropout could be you. Take the pledge to volunteer now at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
I'm so glad we left that stupid party.
No joke.
Hey, baby, are you an overdue library book? Because you got fine written all over you.
Oh, barf. What about that girl with the hoop earrings?
Ridiculous. When she was dancing...
Megan, look out! Look out!
Oh my God, Becky. Becky, are you okay?
My arm. I think it's broken.
Can you bend it?
It's already bent. In the wrong direction.
I can't believe this. I'm so sorry. I only had a few drinks. I was just buzzed.
Really? Just buzzed?
Yeah, I swear.
Well, in that case, my arm is fine. Ah, that's better.
You're really okay? You're serious, Becky?
No, genius. I'm not serious. Ow! My arm, it hurts.
Buzzed driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Ad Council, and this station.
And welcome back, everybody, to Pumps and Politics. I'm sorry I'm laughing. Our producer just went off on me. I'm sorry.
She always does.
I know,
Cracking
hold
that
it
whip.
down. You ought to hear. She said that we're finally behaving today to her cues.
Right.
And I guess we need to have Miss Mandela back in every show so we can listen to her cues. But we're being good today. I promise. But again, everybody, if you are listening, you know that we have with us Miss Dalika Mandela, granddaughter of Nelson Mandela, with us in the house. She is here in town for PanaFest, and I got the schedule. All right, on April 26th, this Saturday, At 10 a.m., there will be the morning welcome reception. It looks like everything's going to be happening at the Global Mall. Is that correct, Malika? Yes. Everything going on at the Global Mall. The opening ceremony will be at 10. It's going to be a long day.
And that's formerly the Hickory Hollow Mall for people
Yes.
who need to know in Antioch.
Thank you very much. So I know y'all are shoppers out there, ladies. We know y'all know where Hickory Hollow Mall is, now the Global Mall. Thank you very much, ladies. So make sure you go out there. And it says around midday, don't have an exact time on this, but they're going to have the enthronement of Dr. Shimbori. Did I pronounce that correctly? All right, again at the Global Mall. And then that evening, this is where we really especially want you to come out. This is where you will be speaking, correct?
Yes,
that
that's
evening,
correct,
8
yeah.
o'clock at the Legacy Ball. Where Miss Mandela will be the keynote speaker there. Again, that will be at the Global Mall in the food court area on the second floor.
And I love it. It says dress to impress. So.
Oh, yeah, dress to impress.
Please.
The Global Event
Global
Center.
Event
Global Event Center. Global Event Center, everybody. And then and beginning at 8. Legacy
And the tickets
Ball
are
beginning at 8.
$25. So
That's not a
come
lot,
on,
y'all.
guys.
That's not
Everybody can get out.
Exactly. And then on Sunday, April 27th, from 4 to 6 p.m., there will be a special, the Pan-African Day of Prayer. That, again, will be at the Global Mall on the lower level. That's going to be hosted by some local pastors and some churches, and hosted by, also says, Brother Nate Opoku Amo. I think, am I pronouncing that correctly? All right. Got to make sure we get it right. So, everyone, basically, just clear your calendars. All right, for this weekend, just stay in Antioch, hang out. Make sure you stop by and spend some time to not only celebrate the African culture and this whole movement, but also take a few minutes to speak with Miss Mandela. Trust me, she will change your life just being in her presence. So refined and regal.
And challenge yourself to learn something that you didn't know. I think that's one big thing that we all need to do is challenge ourselves to learn something that you didn't know every day. Learn something new.
That's so true. Yeah.
You know, this is, and I'm so thankful to be in your presence because this is what I want to know. Because we've all seen a number of movies, aside from books that we've read, we've seen a number of movies that highlight or tell the story of your grandfather's life. And then recently the movie Winnie, I saw that on Netflix. Let me ask you, how do you feel about movies that portray your grandfather and your family? What are or is there one that you did or didn't like in particular?
I feel that most of them concentrate on one aspect of my grandfather, which is the political life. And that's actually very sad because there's so much more. It's almost as if they boxing Granddad into this one corner. There's so much more to that man than just a politician. Yes, he will go to the annals of history as a peacemaker, a reconciler, the greatest man in history, a person that could forgive his detractors. But Granddad was so much more than that. There's so many aspects that people did not know him. His sense, some of these things I'll be sharing on the Panafest Gala dinner. The pain that he had of losing his mother and his son, my father, and not being able to bury those people and paid the last respect to those people, and how close Granddad was to his mother. And the lessons that he taught me, you see Granddad through my eyes, his sense of humor, how he used to poke fun at himself. And as human beings, we don't do that enough. We take ourselves seriously. And it also taught me a lot of things, how to cope with disappointments. And there's a lot of things that so I think that the movies that are out there about Granddad, they don't present him holistically as a human being. They put him as a demigod. Yes, Granddad was the greatest man that ever was, but he said over and over again, I actually have made a lot of mistakes, but what made me who I am is every time I fall, I stand up.
Get back up.
I get back up and I try again. And that's what differentiates one man from the other. How many times they've stood up to try again. And Granddad did that with his last breath. I mean, my Granddad, prior to to his death, I had been with him. I had this habit of spending time with him every day. And he enjoyed, like I say, he has the symbol of simplicity. He enjoyed the simple things in life. 2 weeks before he was admitted, I was sitting with him reading a book, and I know he was reading a paper, I was reading a book. And Granddad had this tendency of would be sitting, most of the time won't be even talking to one another, just enjoying each other's company, or he'd be watching TV. And Granddad had this aversion for people that were overweight, and he would poke, said, see, darling, he has a big tummy and he will be tickle pink. So he would extend his hand and hold my hand, and he squeezed my hand, and he goes back to a slumber. And, he kept on. We had his feet up, and he had this blanket over his feet, and he was getting restless. And I'm thinking, okay, what's wrong? And he keeps on taking this blanket off, and I put it back. It eventually says, darling, I want to go outside. It was nippy. It was June. I said, no, today is a nice day. Usually June is nippy in South Africa. I said, look, let's take him out. So I called his medical team. And because I'm an ICU nurse, so they were quite comfortable to leave me alone with him. Mm-hmm. They knew that if anything happened, I could respond quickly. So we take him outside in his wheelchair. Granddad went out and he had the Stetson hat. Granddad was very aesthetic. He was very vain. If you did not know vain, you don't know what vain is. My grandfather was very vain.
That's awesome.
So he's sitting outside. He has this Stetson, cowboy hat. I don't know who gave him that hat. He has this cowboy hat over his face. So he takes it off. All he did was to lay back and just enjoy the sun. And these are the things that we take for granted. Mm-hmm. Granddad had been cooped in a house for more than 6 months, not going outside. And he just missed the sunlight. Right. Mm-hmm. And he was watching trees sway around. And eventually, after about 15 minutes, when the wind was picking up, I said, look, let's take him back inside. All he said to me that, I want to go home. And I knew he did not mean the house. Mm-hmm. He meant the place where he would be amongst his ancestors, because that was his greatest wish, to actually take his last breath amongst his ancestors. But that was not to be, because 2 weeks later he landed in the hospital, and by then it was too late for us to move him. But these are the simple things that Granddad enjoyed in life, just sunlight, that everybody else takes for granted,
How close are all the grandkids? Do you all stay in contact? I know that there's different mothers and so how close?
Yeah, we are close together. I mean, we had this ritual, which I hope will continue, where we would spend Christmas in the Eastern Cape, and it's an eating frenzy. I promise you. It is an eating.
Now we know Christmas in the Eastern Cape.
So Easter at the Potter's house. But then we're going Christmas
in the Eastern Cape.
In the Eastern Cape, we like a 3-course, we eat. By the time I go, I say, you know what, I need to exercise and lose a lot of weight before I go to this
now,
game.
Can you cook? Can you cook?
I can cook, yeah.
What's your best dish?
It's oxtail.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I've never had oxtail before.
Oxtail, wow.
Is it good?
Oxtail stew,
Really?
It's very nice.
It all tastes like
I guess
chicken.
I need to jump on the bandwagon.
Everything tastes like chicken, but yes, oxtails are delicious. They're, I don't know if they're still open, but Silver Sands, are they still open in North Nashville?
I think so.
Silver Sands is a local Black-owned restaurant here in Nashville that is home-cooked, Southern oxtails are fabulous. Yeah. So you talked a little bit earlier. I wanted to ask you real quick about your father. I know, like you said, he was the first child, and he died, unfortunately, in a car accident. What's your fondest memory of him?
Dad was 4 when Dad died. Huh?
Okay.
And I remember this one incident. Granddad, maybe that's why I had to come to Nashville. Granddad liked the cowboys for whatever reason.
Really?
Yes, he liked cowboys. And I mean, at school, they say he used to dress, they called him Styles because he was a stylish dresser, but mainly because of a cowboy character that was called Styles, who had this long trench coat. Dad had bought me a cowboy outfit, believe you or not, with a gun holster and the hat and everything. So he had dressed me in this outfit, and I was taking pictures and posing as a little girl in Soweto. That's one vivid memory I have of him.
That's great. That's a great memory.
I like that.
It is.
And I want to ask you again, because we always want to make sure we really, really get to know the people who come to spend time with us. So my first question is, and this is a twofer because you're a very unique and special guest because of your family history. So I want to ask you the first question. This is for your grandfather, who you're very close with, and for you. What were and are your pet peeves and things that you love the most? What are those things that kind of get under your skin, but then those things that really bring you joy?
Okay, pet peeves is I'm a neat freak. My daughter drives me nuts because she's not neat. I fold everything, and I mean, in my wardrobe, things have to be packed according to length, and I'm that pedantic. I'm borderline OCD. So those are my pet peeves. That and a clean house. Yes. For me, if I grew up, my granddad's first wife Evelyn was was a neat freak, and I grew up where she would say you can't leave dishes in the sink at night because God visits at night, and He cannot visit in an untidy place. I cannot sleep in a room that's untidy. I honestly,
That's exactly
it's
how
just
I
I will
am.
wake up, and that's why I said that's my pet peeve.
Yes.
I hate it. And my daughter's room when she's at home now, she's at varsity. I said, do you miss me? I said, no, I miss you, but I like my house being clean. I like my house being clean. So that I keep the door closed when she's around. I mean, what gives me joy is actually spending time with my family. And also, I love reading. I'm a homely girl. I like sitting at home and reading and tinkering at home, and I'm cooking.
What about favorite movie or favorite show?
Favorite show? Oh, need you ask?
Is it Housewives or Scandal?
Scandal.
Yay!
Olivia Pope is
yes.
my dog.
Oh, I'm about to start a party. Yes. Oh, she loves Scandal. You have no idea what that show means to us.
I love Scandal.
Yes.
It's power to. It's
Yes.
It's
Oh, Scandal.
everything.
I've asked actually now in my absence. I've asked my son, please make sure you tape the 2 episodes. I'm gonna. Yes, I said,
You missed the finale?
Yeah,
the one last week?
Yeah. Please don't talk about it. Yeah.
Oh.
So
Okay.
please.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I missed. I said, please tape those because I'm missing this week and next week. I said, please make sure if you don't, I'm gonna kill you. I promise I'll kill you.
Okay, I'm not saying
Well, the
anything.
finale
'cause
was
woo.
last week, and it is online. So if you
No,
get
I'm
a
not.
chance-
I'm not. No,
because you don't want to.
I don't want to.
You
So
need to
there's
sit
not
at
right.
the house.
So
and
there's not
watch
gonna
it.
be there's not gonna be a show this week because they've already done the finale, which was
Yeah.
last week. But yes, it was.
Ooh, it was good.
Yeah.
It was.
But you don't.
You are
know,
now my
Yeah.
most favorite person. You just don't know.
How many guests we've had prior to that? When you say Scandal, they're like, "Huh? What?" And
Yeah,
so
no,
it
I love
just
Scandal.
takes
That show
I
is so
love-
good.
that
That
show
show
is
is
so
good.
good. That show is good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite character on Scandal?
Of course, Olivia Pope.
Yes.
Olivia Pope.
I'm starting to like Tom,
No,
though.
no. I like. You know who I like? I like Sarah's Beam. Sarah's is
Yeah.
crazy.
Cyrus.
He's
Bless his
crazy.
heart.
I mean, he's cray. I mean, the way he gets upset.
He is cray-cray.
He is really cray.
He is.
Now, like for
But
real
I
crazy.
love
He stops at nothing.
But you know
to get
who
what he
mine,
wants.
Daddy Pope.
Really, Daddy Pope?
Yes,
And the long
Daddy
speeches.
Pope. Oh my God.
That's the boy. His music though, I love him just for the music.
Yeah,
and
because they
his
always
character.
play good music
Yeah,
with Daddy
yeah, they
Pope.
do.
Yes, you cannot get anything past him. And
Yeah,
you
you
have to
can't.
watch your back.
Yeah,
You have to watch your
That
back.
man, ooh, he is ruthless. I love
No,
it.
I love the way he talks. I said, Olivia, I love that the White House is gonna spit you out.
Yes.
I love that. All right. So, now what about for your granddad? What were some things that you know from him growing up were maybe a pet peeve and things that he loved? And a favorite meal. Did he have a favorite meal?
Yes, he did. Oxtail is one of them.
Really?
Yeah,
Did you make
oxtail.
oxtails for him a lot?
Yes, and also sampan beans. We call it in Xhosa umngqusho. That's our staple food as Xhosa people.
I love it.
Yeah. It's it's boiled mealies. It's boiled samp. It's made from ground mealies and sugar beans. You mix the two together. It's divine.
Is that fried? Or
No,
was
it's boiled. You
Boiled.
have
It's
to.
boiled.
boiled.
It's
Oh,
boiled.
okay.
You boil it up, like for 4 hours, slow.
Because
And
I
what's
do
the
my
name?
Kind of sounds like a
recipes.
dumpling.
Oxtail.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
an oxtail
It's like
meat.
in like a dumpling.
And also dumpling. He
Dumpling.
liked that. He also liked dumplings, yeah. And one thing that Granddad hated is also a person that's uneducated. People, education, he drummed every letter that Granddad would write to me from the age that I was 10. Granddad would talk about how did you fare, how are your exams, how did you fare at school, education. In 69, when after my father died, he writes to my mother that you need to go back to school because not only is education gonna give you independence, but it will give you freedom as a woman to be self-sufficient.
That's wonderful.
That's how he saw education. So education to Granddad, if you're not education, you're not worth speaking to actually, because to him you're a thug.
For for him to say that in 1969, that just what
That's
wisdom.
Yeah,
That's wisdom.
To speak to a woman in
Yeah,
1969.
for me, it's a pity that I actually thought of bringing one of the letters, that letter that he writes to my mother, and I'm thinking, this was like July 69. Granddad is talking about a woman's independence. And you'll be surprised, the first visit that I paid Granddad when we were talking, the first thing, I was 16. I had just turned 16 because the prison authorities would not allow you to go to Robben Island before you turn 16. Granddad, with a poker face, we're speaking through like a thick glass panel like this, you kiss the window and you embrace through the window. And he says to me, "Oh, darling, have you done your pap smear?" I said, "This woman is off his rocker. What is he talking about?" I mean, seriously? At that time I was still a virgin. And I'm thinking, he's asking me about pap smears. What the hell does he know about pap smears?
Very ahead of his time.
Yeah, he was ahead of his time.
And let me ask you this, as we unfortunately are coming to the end of our show. I'm getting the eye. Let me ask you again, and I know we're all on the same page. Such an honor and so much fun. And now we have a scandal buddy to add to our group. But let me ask you very briefly before we close the show. We know your grandfather's legacy. We know his name. We know his story. But when your last days come, what do you want people to say about Dalika Mandela?
That she uplifted, she created and sustainable rural communities, because that's what I want to create through the Thembekile Mandela Foundation. Because oftentimes people go to these rural areas and say, "You don't have a library, I'll give you a library." They give a library, boom, they go. Those I want to have self-sustaining communities that, yes, you've done a library, but what books are you providing the students? And they have to be kept up to date with the times. And those communities should be communities that can be able to sustain themselves through whatever initiatives they can do in those communities.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Again,
you.
an honor and a pleasure.
Yes,
Everyone, you all heard it firsthand from Nelson Mandela's granddaughter, Dalika Mandela. Again, a pleasure. Be sure to go out to Panifest. Everyone, go to panifest.net. It will be taking place at the Global Mall Center, formerly Hickory Hollow Mall, this Saturday, mostly all day Saturday, and then, of course, on Sunday. Spend some time, learn something, and have a lot of fun, everyone. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back to you Monday. In the meantime, in between time, go out and vote. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Everyone, take care. Have a wonderful week. See you next week.